So, hey folks, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock.
Recording in progress.
Cool. So we called to order additions or deletions to the agenda. So, hang on one second, Mark. Has anybody heard from Chad?
No.
And do we know who Stratton is?
That's Allison Young.
Okay. And what about our recorder of minutes? Peter.
I don't
I
see
can
him.
take notes if he's not here.
Okay.
We'll take notes from the BCTV.
Okay. Is the recording on?
I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay. So additions or deletions to the agenda. So I just want to add Greg Frost is here. You want to talk about Windows? Mark, you had something, sir?
Yeah,
Now this,
I'm off mute, right? Yeah. Our next meeting is is our organizational meeting. And you had wanted to talk about Robert Rules more. We had wanted to get a legal opinion, I think.
yeah, we did. Didn't we discuss that in a previous meeting?
In April, I believe.
Yeah, I
Or
thought we did. I thought we had
Years.
discussed it, and the attorney didn't have any opinion. I called the Secretary of State's office, and I thought we talked about it at a meeting.
You said you talked about calling the Secretary of State's office. You don't think you said anything about the attorney.
No,
But
I
if you spoke to the
no,
attorney,
because I did not call the attorney because I just figured it was a waste of money. He really does. The Secretary of State's office didn't have anything to add. Didn't think an attorney would have much to add.
Okay, but fine with me.
Okay.
I wanted to, I've heard rumors that West River is going to be moving to electric buses. I wanted to know how that might affect us. And then the PCB stuff, which you said to put under other business, but there is no other business on the agenda.
Yeah, we'll put it under new business because it's new. Okay, this doesn't work. And the reason this doesn't work is we actually have people out there, so they can't see who's talking there. And
The camera.
Can you adjust it? Move it out?
Can we, yeah, can
no,
we
but
just
the
tweak the...
people in the back can't see who's on the TV.
Oh,
You just push it back.
Yeah, folks, we're gonna have to figure this out. We're sorry. Yeah. Now,
how's that?
Perfect.
yeah, now I can't see.
Do you want to have us all slide over this way? We can do that.
Give us one second.
Nice.
Chinese fire drill, go. Okay, much better. So on the consent agenda, we have the minutes of the May 2nd, 2022 meeting, and we have correspondence, and we did have some correspondence.
Yeah.
Bill, what did I have for correspondence?
I don't have any correspondence.
Did anybody have any correspondence? I don't remember. I thought somebody said they had some.
Was it the letter that came in today?
Was, which letter?
The email from the teacher?
No, because that would be under personnel. Okay, so I just have the consent agenda, the minutes of the May 2nd, 2022 meeting, which I believe was in everybody's packet. Is there any questions on that? Any comments? You guys all here to talk about the minutes? You are? What do you got? Oh, okay.
Just trying to help you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're the only one. I like you. Okay, if not, by unanimous consent, we'll accept the minutes. Oh, is somebody trying to sneak in? Cool. So, under next topic is members of the public. Folks, you are members of the public, and I got 3 or 4 people on the TV. So why don't we start with TV people? Members of the public. I see Peter's here. Thank you, Peter. Alice or Rich, did you have anything under public?
I don't know what's going on.
We hear you now. Okay, Tom Oakley?
No, Rich.
Thank you. Allison Young?
All set.
All set. Lisa, one more chance?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody from the audience? Everybody all good? Cool. Members of the staff? I don't know. Do we have any staff here?
Amanda
Amanda, where? I'm sorry.
in the orange room.
Oh, Amanda, do you have anything for staff? Okay. Moving right along, old business, waiting study update. So Laura Sibilia had a family emergency. She can't be here. So Mark, you get to do all the waiting study.
There's not much. The Senate concurred with the House, and it was sent to the governor either Friday, today, or will be in the near future. It was held back so that it wouldn't be subject to a pocket veto. So I have not yet heard that it has hit his desk.
Okay. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts on that, folks? Public funds accountability, Mark, possible action, VSBA resolution. So Mark brought to us, and we have copies of it, I think right there, a resolution that he would like to ask if we would be interested in sponsoring. And this is on accountability of public funds. So we've had a brief discussion on this when Mark introduced it, and there's a lot of whereas and wherefores and whatnot. The meat of the request is the last couple sentences, last sentence. Be it resolved, if VSBA advocates that all rules, regulations, policies, quality standards, reporting requirements, and laws regarding public schools in Vermont must apply to any school that receives funds from the statewide education fund for any reason or for any purpose. So the Vermont School Boards Association, of which we're a member, and Mark represents Windham County and Windsor County, part of Windsor County, all of Windsor County, part of Windsor.
Just Wyndham.
Just Windham, okay. Along with Dan from Marlboro.
MacArthur.
Dan MacArthur from Marlboro. Bring forth resolutions to the Vermont School Boards Association. It goes to a resolution committee. Then the resolution committee discusses them and decides whether they bring them forth at the meeting in October. And then if it's accepted by the entire VSBA group, then it becomes one of the issues that VSBA advocates for. And I think the waiting study was brought forth a couple years ago, Mark.
We were party to a resolution last year, so about a year ago now.
Okay, so go
Maybe
ahead.
it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was 2 years. I lose track of time.
Okay, so go ahead, Mark. Why don't you speak to this?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The idea is that any public funds, any tax dollars that are utilized for education in Vermont should be treated the same, and the same requirements and regulations and laws that govern them should be evenly handed throughout the state for all schools that accept public school dollars.
Okay. Bill, you were going to check with the... Were you checking with
I was checking with other superintendents in Windham County. None of them responded that they were taking any action on this from their vantage point.
Okay. So board, any comments from the board? You got lots of lines.
I do have lots of ones.
You want to comment, or is it just for
Yeah,
next?
no. Mark, a question for you first. With the first and whereas, do we have a situation that you can speak to where there are any schools that I guess would be receiving students from sending towns that do not correlate with VSA 4502? Which, if I'll read it out loud for everyone in the audience, an owner or operator of a place of public accommodations or an agent or employee of such owner or operator shall not, because of the race, creed, color, national origin, marital status, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity of any person refuse, withhold, form, or deny to that person any of the accommodations, advantages, facilities, and privileges of the place of public accommodation.
I know of one for sure, and I can't recall the name. I believe it's a Catholic school in Rutland County, maybe somewhere on that side of the state, where they're currently under investigation
Okay.
for having in their documentation policies against I don't remember if it was homosexuals or transgender or something along those lines. But I have not looked in detail to see, every other part of the state. That's the only one I know of off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you. Because the reason I ask is that seems to be the focal point, which I think would be very important, that we do have a access and equity for all students and it not be limited. But in the second, whereas we make reference to the VSBA Resolution for the use of public funds from 2000. VSBA does not support funding private independent educational institutions with public funds in districts that operate public schools for the education of local students, except at the discretion of local school boards. That essentially is where we are as a local school board that does not have a middle school or a high school. And, we do have one private institution that does accept sending towns. And I think for us, knowing that I think at this point in time, the school that does accept our students as or receive our students as a sending town has not violated that VSA 4502, that if we support this resolution in saying that we're looking to side with the VSBA and not have any of our funds generated through school taxation of our community be allowed to go to that private institution.
It doesn't say that.
No.
It does not say that.
Yeah, it's
Not even
at
close.
the discretion of local school boards.
Right. And I think if us as a local school board enacts as the first domino for the VSBA to say, yep, we have support of a local school board that operates in this situation that also feels the same, that's not exactly the wording on the bridge between our schools that we send to, all four, and our community at large. And
All this is saying is that our tax dollars should be accounted for by those schools the same way they are accounted for by public schools. That's all. This is about the reporting of numbers and the following of the laws.
Well, there's also
This is
Well, hang on a second.
it's not about denying school choice. In fact, I don't remember where one of the whereases talks about the importance of school choice in the state of Vermont.
The next one. And whereas school choice is ingrained in and a beloved aspect of Vermont education.
The second to last one seems like it's saying.
Yeah, ma'am. So we'll give you a chance and we'll recognize you, okay? Are you all set?
For the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
We can.
Okay. And we'll get to other people as soon as we get through the board. Just give us a minute.
I think one of I have concerns, and one of the things, the second to the last paragraph, that it just, the continued draining of public funds from the public education system, to me that sets a tone in this that makes me feel really uncomfortable, because one of the private schools in our community is a great educational opportunity for our students, and I know a lot of people feel very strongly that our students have that opportunity, and we just want to make sure that isn't called into question in future years. So that language makes me feel uncomfortable.
What you said, or
Yeah, no, I've got a bunch. So I would agree with that. but feeling uncomfortable. And I definitely, I'm more than uncomfortable. I don't know how you can actually say that is an actually happening, by draining public funds, for use in independent schools. I would assume those districts that have their own high schools have their own budgets, and they're not actually budgeting for that amount of money that's coming in. We're a choice town, so we're sending to other schools. And I would argue that it's money well spent, as Kate mentioned, and we're giving more opportunities for those students who want to attend other schools and have that choice without having any cost. So I would I would disagree with that statement as well. The question I have for you though, Mark, is you mentioned that you wrote this resolution, and it was also being given to some other school districts in the state. So is that what happened? Did you write this resolution and provide it to other school districts for them to vote on? And also, was that something that you worked on in committee? Like, I know Rich mentioned the process of how this works, that we as a school board here can present it, can approve it, and then present it to the resolution committee. Did the resolution committee work this out together, or is this something that you kind of crafted on your own and then distributed to those other school districts?
The resolution committee doesn't start meeting until after June 15th, once all the resolutions are in place. This was drafted with six VSBA members total had input into this. And yes, there are other districts in the state that are voting on it. Some this week, some will be later on.
You got that, Troy?
I know, I have one more thing. I took a look at the resolutions from the VSBA and some of the things that have been approved over time, and it seems like a lot of the things in your resolution already exist in the resolutions that have been passed. If I can, Mr. Chair, I'd like to read these. So it says, independent schools, this is a subheading, independent school, kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, after-school funding. This is for funding of independent schools. Public dollars that support private independent schools, pre-kindergarten programs, and after-school programs should carry with them the same obligations regarding quality, equity, efficiency, transparency, and accountability that apply to the public school districts. It goes on.
That's pre-K and after school. That's not K through 12.
Well, it says independent school.
Independent school.
Right, but your what you read is referring to pre-K and after school programs, not to the K through 12 system.
Okay. It's not clear there. I also have another thing. One sec.
Do we have that, or is that just something you did, Dwight?
No, I printed it out. This is the resolutions from the
VSBA.
VSBA.
Okay.
Are
Are they current resolutions or resolutions that have been passed?
These are current resolutions that have been passed. So there's one also under school choice. I'm assuming this is for secondary students as well. The VSBA recognizes the varied learning styles and needs of students and supports the provision of multiple options for student learning in the public schools. The association supports the maintenance of the parameters of Vermont Public High School Choice Law and the thorough monitoring of its outcomes. It goes on to say Vermont needs to recognize the long history of school choice in many towns and to leave in place that status quo.
And this resolution does leave that in place.
Okay.
However, leading up to the
Well, hang on a second. Sorry.
I'm good
You're
now.
set? Okay. I'm going to speak just because
yes.
I haven't yet. So I think everybody's got to understand that this isn't. I don't read anywhere, although it talks about. It talks about public funds going to private and independent schools. Nowhere does it say it wants to limit it, ban it, stop it. It doesn't come right out and say it supports it, but it does say that they're asking. What this resolution's asking is if we give our public money to a school, they have to do the same reporting that all the public schools do because it's public funds. This has come up several times in the past. Dover led a real push to get accountability, and that was part of the system where we were trying to get a common accounting system that just never came around. You know, it seems to be a lousy, because we're trying to compare our spending to spending in Burlington, and when Leland and Gray goes to a soccer game, they get on a school bus and bounce down the road, where if you're in Burlington, you get on a nice transit coach and you get nice comfortable chairs and you have a bathroom, but yet they're trying to compare dollars spent. So
That's Burlington South.
I'm sorry, it's up there. It's north of Vermont. So it's in Vermont, not Massachusetts like we are. So anyways, I understand that there have been a lot of people that have attacked our private schools, independent schools, but I don't see this attacking that. Because if you cut everything out but the last paragraph, there's nothing that says there shouldn't be any tuition, public monies paid to private or independent schools. And we do limit it. We don't pay to any school. We have had schools in the past that parents have tried to get their children into that weren't on the approved list, and we didn't do it. So I think we should look at this, not that we're trying to ban anything in any of the schools. We're not saying that you can't go to Burton. And remember, Burton and the Academy, Thetford Academy, are kind of quasi-public schools anyways, because they've taken the place of public schools. Leland Gray Seminary was a kind of quasi-school for a while until they became a unified school district. So I would not get so hung up on the rest of it. I would, and one of the things I said to Mark when he first sent this to me is, all this other stuff just confuses you and gets you nowhere. Why can't it just be? And if you actually read the resolutions you have, none of the rest of that's in there. It's just that last sentence. So I just want to make that point. Mark, are you good?
Yeah, I was just going to say what you just said, which is the resolution is just that last paragraph. It's not all the material before it.
Well, I'm gonna
And in fact, the material above it doesn't get published.
Yeah,
In the
what
resolution,
gets
so.
published is just what you were reading from, just that little blurb. Go ahead, boss.
So I would say, what's the point of the various steps of and whereas, particularly diverting public school tax dollars to private independent schools creates a circular problem where fewer funds are being invested in public schools. Sensible, yes. However, which in turn causes a reduction in the quality of education in our public schools.
Fact.
But again, how so? Is it because the district is not budgeting properly? I mean, as we learned, again, first year as part of the school board, learning that any of our public schools can set a rate. So with us sending towns to Twin Valley, Brattleboro, Leland, and Gray, they could essentially say, you know what, we want to have our per pupil spending be $24,000. So River Valley's Unified School District, you have 78 kids that want to come to our district, it's going to be $24,000 per pupil. And as the rules are set by the law and codified, that's what we need to pay for our students should they choose to go. Correct?
As a new member, hang
a
on,
little
Mark.
incorrect.
Mark, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Because they're a public school, they have to complete a stat report that private and independent schools don't have to. And if the state finds that they should have only charged $18,000 because that's what they actually spent per pupil, they need to refund the $6,000. Independent and private schools don't have to do that. That's one of the reasons this is out there.
Right, and I will say, Mark, as you want to talk about fact, that a lot of the majority of private institutions that are out there, they have a tuition set. That tuition is not the cost to educate the pupil. They are very fortunate to have endowments, which, as I understand it, we cannot endow a public school because then the state would say, well, but you've got these extra funds, use them, you don't need funds from the general. And if I'm wrong, please, by all means, correct me. However, with the private institutions, having that endowment to be able to offset the tuition. So if you were to ask, having been fortunate enough to attend a private school in high school and then be offered a job at that school after college and finding out that we're in trouble, and this was said to me directly, more than 90% of our operating budget is coming from tuition, so we don't know if we can afford your position, but we need your position so that we have tuition revenue. The position was in the admissions office for that school. That was enough for me to say, I don't think I can take this because I'm not really guaranteed that this job will last. So it was a daunting element for me. But recognizing that very fact that private institutions, tuition is not the full cost to educate pupil. It is less than what they actually spend per pupil in the academic calendar year.
That's also true for tuition amounts for almost every public school in Vermont. Per pupil costs are determined by, excuse me, by the total spending divided by your equalized pupils. So if Twin Valley's per pupil cost is $22,000, they can set their tuition rate at $12,000 if they want. Our tuition rates are set below what it costs to educate a student in our schools. It's a competitive market idea, so that schools will set their tuition rates at a level so people will want to attend them. So there's a very big difference between your per pupil cost and what a school sets as their tuition. 1. 2, it is not our responsibility as a school board, as members of the VSBA, as taxpayers to support private institutions. It just isn't. Our tax dollars go to public education. The fact is, in Vermont, we have the ability to pay tuition for students to go to private schools. But that, 1, isn't what this resolution addresses, and 2, still doesn't change the fact that it is not our responsibility to manage private schools.
Yes, sir.
And that's just why I would disagree with this resolution, because it's not our job to manage the private schools. And to say very frankly that, we can mince words a little bit, that the public money to educate, or it should go to the public schools, when in fact the public tax dollars are to educate our community of students statewide, wherever they happen to choose to go to school because we have school choice.
And actually, though, again, the resolution isn't saying that we won't send the money there. They just want to see all this
Right,
resolution.
I understand that, but I feel as though it's been built on an awful lot of that to come to something that says something a little bit different, and that's why I have a hard time being the first domino to tip this to the VSBA.
Right.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I'm not sure why all these are even there. They're definitely setting it up in a way that you can argue. Well, to argue that money being diverted is hurting the public schools. It may not be. You say it's fact, but there's only about 3.5% of all these students in Vermont that actually take public money to go to an independent school. It's a very small amount. Just to suggest that they're the cause of the downfall of public schools, I think is just inaccurate. So I would certainly not put that in a whereas.
Also, didn't say that was the downfall of public schools. But for every dollar that goes to a private institution, that's $2 worth of investment that's not going to a public school.
It says right
but
here.
I will reiterate, this is the only part of this resolution that matters, is the very last paragraph.
Well, then it should have been written. I think it all matters. And it says right here, in turn causes a reduction in the quality of education of our public schools. I mean, it's right there in black and white. I mean, what am I missing?
Yeah, look, we're not having an argument.
All right,
we're having
well,
a discussion.
Okay, you're telling me to ignore that. So,
No. Okay. Are you all set?
yeah.
Do you have anything else? No. Would somebody like to make a motion that River Valley's adopt this?
Is there any discussion from the public on this?
No, hang on a second. We need a motion. So, would anybody like to make a motion to adopt this? And I'm not even sure who was it.
Alan Block.
Alan, we'll get to you in a minute, sir.
No, Rich, I'm not going to make a motion because I'm 100% confident this will still be a resolution that will pass the VSBA, which is the important part.
Okay.
If
I'd like to make a motion.
we don't want to care about public education dollars, and
Hey,
that's
Mark,
fine.
hang on. I got a person who's making a motion. Go ahead, Dwight.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution as written by Mark.
Okay, is there a second to the motion? Okay, I have no second. The motion dies. So there's really no need to comment on it. We're not gonna be moving it forward. We're not gonna have a vote on it.
Well,
So I don't, if you'd like to talk about, I don't know what there is to talk about. We're not approving it. If somebody wants us to approve it, but I don't, doesn't seem to be any will amongst the board to do that. There's no second to the motion. So,
I have another point on this, now that we're done with that point.
okay.
Okay. Obviously, as Mark mentioned, this resolution will be most likely brought forward to the VSBA. I feel it's inappropriate that one of our representatives votes in favor of this at the VSBA, knowing full well that this board appears is not in favor of such a
So
resolution.
VSBA, we meet in October. You're one of the people that are supposed to be there.
The VSBA or the?
No, the
CSB?
at the Wyndham Central
Wyndham
meets,
Central, right.
and we vote. We discuss with our representatives how we'd like our
Okay.
how we'd like resolutions acted on. So make
Okay,
sure
I
you're
didn't know.
there.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure that's how the process was.
Okay,
That's good clarification. You have
Um,
a hand in Zoom land?
are we good? Go ahead. I can't see you.
Tommy Oakley.
Tom, we already had members of the public, so I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I was just going to throw in, without discussion, I understand we're pushing this along. I don't think there's a lot of information out there. Myself, many members of the public tried to find some more information on how this came about, and Mark just kind of threw a comment there that it's going to get passed regardless, whether or not it gets passed tonight. I just think maybe some education for all of us, maybe supporting detail going forward would be helpful. There's just not a lot written about this, and there's not a lot to be found.
Yeah, Tom. So it's not. It died here at this board. So this board isn't going to discuss it again. Okay. So it now goes on to the VSBA. So you can follow it at the VSBA and speak to it there. But we had a motion. Nobody seconded the motion. If a motion isn't seconded, it dies. It doesn't get voted on. So this board won't need to discuss it again unless it gets brought up again. And if it gets brought up again, then we'll go through the whole process again. Does that make sense?
And does every school board in Vermont have a representative on the VSBA? Yeah, my questions are more around the process.
Yeah, no, the VSBA, we elect 2 representatives from each district.
Okay.
And that's
There
elected.
are 11 districts in the state of Vermont.
And so they're elected at an annual meeting, usually in September, October, depending on where you're at, of people, of school board members go and elect their representatives. It's kind of like the Senate elects or appoints their Speaker of the House and stuff. This is kind of the same thing.
Okay, so the board elects them or the public elects them? Excuse my ignorance.
The board elects them. The board
Okay.
members have a meeting. There's an annual
Gotcha.
meeting for the Vermont School Boards Association in this area, this district. And at that meeting of school board members, they elect 2 people to represent them.
Understood. So my last question would it be expected that the majority opinion of the school board would be represented at that meeting by the elected representative for the VSBA?
The majority opinion of the VSBA group, which is all of Wyndham County, would be represented.
No, the majority opinion of our school board who elected a representative from our school board.
We didn't elect a representative from our school board. Any school board member has the ability to go to the VSBA meeting and be elected as a delegate, just like every other board member throughout all of Wyndham County can go. So the public elects board members, the board members get to go to VSBA, and then they can run for a board position.
Rich?
Yeah?
Okay. I thought Dwight was making a point, though, that I thought was interesting, and he kind of got cut off there.
Yeah.
Rich, can I just talk something about the process?
Yes, go
quickly?
ahead.
So there are 11 districts in Vermont, 11 VSBA districts in Vermont. Wyndham County is one of them. Every district has two representatives from the school board members within that district. And they get elected as one each year, so they go back and forth to 2-year term. And those representatives represent the entire district, in our case, all of Wyndham County.
Okay, so Tom, Tom.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have a
so
question.
I got me.
okay, so you got to be recognized. So please, if you're on TV, put your little hand thing up, and then we'll get to you. So Tom, if you want to follow this through, you can. The Vermont School Boards Association has meetings, and you can follow it through there. And a resolution doesn't mean that it happens. It means that they want to have the legislature consider that when they get back into Montpelier next January. So if there was something like this resolution was to come up and be voted on, you would have a chance to weigh in with your legislators.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Rich.
Okay. And Rich, resolutions aren't active. The VSBA doesn't take active positions on those. The resolutions are there to guide the executive director when they get called in to testify on a specific bill. So even having a resolution in the books doesn't mean that it's going to be acted upon in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so is everybody good with that? Does everybody understand the process now? No? Okay. Hang on. Let me get to, there's somebody who wanted to speak who had their hand up.
Joe Levy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe Levy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My question is, who are our current VSBA representatives?
So he must not have been here in the beginning. So Mark Shalbert, that is our board, and Dan MacArthur from the Marlboro board.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, you got somebody else?
Alan Block.
Go ahead.
Alan Block.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Board. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. Looking at this resolution, I think a lot of people sort of saw the same thing that I did, which is it's very fluffy, I would call it, as a lawyer. It's got a whole bunch of fluff in it. And typically when a resolution is very long but only has a little bit of meat on it, there are reasons for that. I can't figure out the reasons yet, but to me, the odd part about the resolution is that the meat of the resolution is about accounting and audit. And there's what I'd want to know before even considering a resolution like this, and I think anyone should, is what is the existing situation? What is the existing audit and accounting situation amongst the private schools? Where are the reports that show it's an issue, and what are the specific issues? And what do we need to address as a community in order to make sure that our tax dollars are working for us?
Yeah, so Alan, I don't know when you came in, but the board is not moving forward on it, so.
No, I understand. I'm actually, what I'm curious about is I think it would make sense for this board to actually move the other way and pass a resolution specifically stating that it won't support this without significantly more information, and that it shouldn't support this, and that the community, that the school board of this district doesn't support this type of resolution, especially just as sloppily written as it is,
Yeah. Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was okay to make that resolution. I'd like to make that resolution.
Yeah, that we're all set because we don't have a resolution. We're not voting on anything. Somebody back there said they were confused about the process.
I mean, that was me, but I'm just trying to keep up.
Okay.
I'm listening to everything. I'm hearing what you're saying, that they're not moving forward with it. I feel like
our board is not.
Your
moving
board is
forward with
not.
it.
Yeah, I feel wishy-washy because I agree. I feel like I'm reading all the and whereases, which read. I support what Dwight was saying, where when you read those, it says one thing, and then when you read this little bitty resolution, it says something else. So it just all feels confusing.
And unfortunately, I don't mean to pick on Mr. Block, and I'm not picking on you, sir, but I think a lot of this, I call it legalese, and it's like in contracts, you're going to get car insurance, and you're supposed to pay so much money for car insurance, and the thing is this thick, and you try to read through it. I know that the background is supposed to kind of set up why you're requesting it, So, I mean, Mark brought this to us. If Mark wanted to change it based on, what he heard from everybody tonight, I mean, he could bring it back to us again.
Hey, I want to apologize. I had no idea that Mark was the author. I thought this came from the association. I came in late, so I didn't mean to slight you, sir. I just looking at it as a guy who does resolutions for a living. That's all.
So, anyways,
Thank you. And as I mentioned, there were 6 of us that wrote this, and actually 2 of them are lawyers in Vermont. So, not saying that it's written the way a legal resolution would be, because it's not. VSBA is a private institution. It's not even a public institution.
but they do account for their money.
Oh yeah, we do.
So, okay. So if I can, I'd like to move on because we have a lot of stuff on tonight. But I do appreciate the discussion. Next thing up is.
We had a request to adjust the agenda. Could we move up Greg Frost items, the windows and the PCBs?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Greg, are you on TV?
He's there.
I am, Rich.
Okay, so we're gonna go to
The added item.
the two added items. We have PCB testing. So Mark picked up on this, that the legislature was voting on some funds for PCB testing in the schools. It had been done before Greg was here. As typical with the state of Vermont, there's, they have 2 wardsboroughs listed and things aren't in the right district. So Greg, do you want to talk to that? Mark had a concern that they were going to do testing, but there's no money for remediation. I believe that was your concern, correct, Mark?
That is correct, and the bill, I think it was H716, although I'm not 100% positive, that did pass, does not provide any funding for remediation until they put money into a fund, but the funds won't be allocated until sometime in the next session, so sometime in 2023.
With a whole new legislature, who knows what will happen. So Greg, talk to us about PCBs and the testing that's been done and how we look.
I think we look great. Chris Medina had scheduled it, had it done in November of 2020. Every one of our schools came back under what were the norms. I had reached out to them and asked them for a kind of a graph of, kind of like what is the range of norm, and I hadn't ever gotten anything back on that. But he said we were good on all of them, and kind of for me, I guess the feeling I have that I think is going to be good this was prior to a lot of the repairs that have been made through all the IAQ grants and those improvements. So, I know in every one of our buildings, I think we're moving a lot more fresh air into every one of the classrooms in the building. So I actually have a really good feeling that this will go well for all of our schools. So I'm not super worried about it. And I hadn't picked up that there wasn't funding. At this point, I'm just trying to keep up with getting all the schools and making sure they're right. I did send an email as soon as that came out. I kind of made a document where I, picked up which lines were wrong. I think there were like 5 of our schools that either had the wrong district or the wrong, something about it wasn't correct. So, and I reached out to them immediately. I got a quick email back like, "Oh, thanks so much." And then, I've checked it a couple of times and I'm like, are we going to change it? So I'll follow up again tomorrow and hopefully, that's something they plan to modify, because the wardsboroughs, I think there's like a year in between the testing. So it would be good to know, like, are we doing it this fall or is it next fall?
So you'll just let us know.
Will do.
Okay. Hey, I'm really sorry, folks. So Greg Frost is our facilities and transportation manager at Central Office. He works with Bill. And I know there's a lot of people here that don't know. And just real quick, Mark Schauber is on the school board. He worked very hard with us to get the weighting study that the town of Dover's been fighting for 25 years. And everybody knows Tammy in the back, our administrator here. Matt Martin is on the screen somewhere. He's waving. He's our administrator in the Dover building. Bill Antone is our superintendent. If you don't know him, why don't you introduce yourself?
Dwight Parham, member from Wardsboro.
I'm Kate Rideout, member of Wardsboro.
Rich Werner, I'm from Dover, member.
And I'm Chad Starro, member from Wardsboro.
And Laura Sibilia, our third Dover member, is got a family emergency tonight, and she wishes she could be here. She said she would be available if we needed her, but she needs to take care of some stuff. So,
Windows.
yeah, I'm moving on. Don't get too nervous. Chad, you wanted us to talk about, no, Chad, I'm sorry. Greg, you want to talk about Windows?
Well, I'm admittedly a little late to the game here. I met with Jamie McCullough from WW Building on Friday to get some measurements on the rest of the windows. They're part of the capital plan for Wardsboro. He got me a number right around like 25,000, which considering all that's gone on with COVID and the spiking costs and whatnot, seemed like a fairly good number for the windows. Granted, this is just for the windows. It's not for installation at this point. So we would definitely be looking at some more money. But there's 34,000 in the capital. And I asked him just what the lead time was. And he said if we ordered today, we'd be looking at late August. So I was just kind of looking for the board's approval to go ahead and give the okay to get those on order. And Rich brought up a great question of just checking in with, I emailed Patrick Bates this afternoon, the fire marshal, to have him, let me know if and what there's anything we need to look for. Jamie had already gotten me the CAD drawings and all the technical information from Marvin. So I'm just kind of looking for a little bit of guidance in how you all want to move forward and see what you want to do.
So, any comments from the board?
Just a quick question, Greg. With that lead time bringing us to late August, how would installation affect operation of school? Do you see any issue there at the start of the 2022-23 school year?
Hard saying, not knowing, we definitely still got to make sure, the gentleman who's doing the painting at Wardsboro had said that he would have time to do the installation. So I would obviously want to get a number from him. I'd probably put out to a couple of other local guys if they have time. I just know lots of those guys are real busy. I think the goal would be that, we would do our very best to. It's all going to matter what that delivery date is, I can't, that's the only thing in all this that I can't control.
Sure, my point being that if the delivery date was very late in August, would it impact the operation of school? Would classrooms still be able to operate as the installation was happening? Or is that a safety concern?
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to do that at that point. Just for the sake of, you're going to be running nail guns and there'll be some noise. And so, especially the first week of school, I wouldn't want to disrupt it in that way.
Anybody?
Something.
Mark, go ahead.
I know.
Greg, whomever is going to be doing the installation, make sure that they read and truly understand the Marvin warranty. I can speak from personal experience that not all contractors around here do. And the installation has to be done in a very specific way in order for Marvin to cover warranty.
Good to know. Thank you.
Dwight? Okay. Anybody else want to talk about Windows? No. Greg, I'm just a little concerned. We just went with one place and got one bid, and it's $25,000. Your installation's probably going to be in the $15,000 range. The old rule of thumb was double your materials and you get your price. So that's putting us up in where we're required to do bids. And on the delivery, I ordered a door in December from WW and I still haven't seen it. I still can't even get a date when I'm going to see it. Stuff I ordered in August of last year came in January, February. So, I'm wondering if we should maybe take a little bit more time and see if there's other windows out there and plan for it, maybe in an October break or plan for it, in the spring or something, because I don't know, the windows aren't falling out, nobody's jumping through them or escaping in. So do we have time? Is it something we have to do right now? I guess that would be my
No, not at all. It's on the capital plan, and I just was, trying to get projects going that we can definitely get done this summer, and that was just kind of one of them that, actually in a meeting with Matt over at Dover, they brought up that they thought the windows that were in there were for them, and Matt wanted to spend the money, and so you got me thinking, oh gosh, I should probably get a price on those windows. We had purchased a couple of windows for a couple of damaged ones in the fall. They're ready to be put in, and they are the same Marvin. So I was just more or less going with the same ones that we had purchased in the fall. The price per window I actually thought was pretty reasonable. And I will give them this much credit, Rich. The two we ordered there and the one that we ordered in Jamaica all came in on schedule. So in this case, they were okay, but I have heard of many stories similar to yours as well.
So I'm gonna have you order my windows for me from now on. Hey, did you make Tammy and Matt arm wrestle for who got the windows, or how did you settle that one?
No, I just told Matt it was an unfortunate mistake, and he's the odd man out.
Okay. Hey, so what does the board think? What do you want to do on the windows?
I like the idea of,
Oh, go ahead, and you and Mark. You go after Kate.
sorry, Mark.
Hi.
I like the idea of doing just a couple more bids because it does sound like we have time. Like, I know we don't want to wait too long to order, but it sounds like spring is probably going to be our best install anyhow, given the timelines.
The only thing I will say though is prices go up quotes are usually good for a week. And I know Conduit, they're giving you a 2-day, 48-hour price. So they may come down too. I mean, gas can't keep going as high as it is because the pumps could only go to $9.99, and after that they don't work anymore. So what do you guys want to do?
Mark?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark, you were next.
Yeah, I don't think we have a choice but to go out to a bid because this is likely it's going to be $40,000 or more for the project.
Is that our threshold?
And
that's a state.
That's state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thought was just if we purchase the windows, we're not gonna see anyone's markup. By purchasing the windows ourselves through our WW bid, we're seeing our I think we get 10 or 20% off. We're tax free. Whereas if I do it, which I don't mind again, but if we do it as a full bid, you're gonna probably see a fair spike even in the window price. But I was thinking I have this spec. I'm happy to call up RK Miles tomorrow. I could even call Hamshaw's that just purchased Leader Home Center in West Pratt. Call Perkins, and I can just spec the same windows too, and say, hey, what's your price for these? And then we'll really see are we getting a fairly good number on the windows? Because my thought was if we can get the windows and get them ordered, we can sort out who we have install, and then we can do the same thing is try to put out a bid for the install and, and see who's willing to put them in for the right price.
So, question for Bill, maybe for Bill. Does a single project such as window install can be divided into two parts, such as windows and labor, so it's not a single project?
Well, it depends. If you make it a single project, then it's a single project. If you buy the windows separately, then if it's under $40,000, that is done. And then you hire someone to install it, then that is done. So it depends on how you set it up. But the way Greg has set it up, we will not be going over 40 in the two individual decisions.
We hope.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, Greg, the other thing is, unless you're going to look for a different window, Marvin pretty much sells the windows at the same cost to all their distributors, and the markup isn't that great. So I don't know if that's just a futile effort, but if you wouldn't mind at least two others just to confirm that, and then can we give him permission to buy them if he just confirms with two other people so he doesn't have to wait 2 weeks and we don't have to see if oil goes up more or windows go up?
Do we need the amount in the motion?
No, I would just tell him.
Before we motion, quick question.
Yeah.
As we talked about, as Bill just said, in two separate entities, we're fine on the finances. But if we do look for a glass installer who's going to purchase that material, would their combined cost, because they have both ends of the deal, they have the purchase of the window and the installation, could that wind up being a lesser total dollar amount than doing it piecemeal?
Usually I've found personally that you do better by purchasing the stuff yourself, because you end up getting such a higher cost up front on the material. So even if you end up maybe a little less on the labor, that especially these days, I mean, I've talked to numerous builders locally, and they're frustrated that they keep handing out "I don't want to do it" numbers, and people keep saying yes. So they're very busy, and people are paying more. Like, they can't even believe people are saying yes to some of the numbers that they throw out.
You all set?
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
You guys all set?
Hampshire is Anderson also, not Marvin.
Okay.
So I think if we're okay, if somebody'd just like to make a motion to have Greg check 2 other distributors for the windows and get the best price he can for us and get them ordered.
I would like to make a motion to have Greg get 2 other quotes for the windows and move forward on that after those are secured, given that they're the right parameters.
Is there a second to Kate's motion?
Second it.
Okay, Chad seconds it. Peter, did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Peter's our minute taker too, in case you're wondering why I asked him that. So,
That's not
if
just
there's,
his name.
huh?
It's not his name, minutes is not his name.
Oh. Is there any discussion on the motion? Anybody? Is there anybody up there? Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to see a dollar figure attached to a maximum dollar figure.
Well, you can make an amendment to the motion if you'd like.
I don't have the quote in front of me. Well, how much was it, Greg?
I don't either. Hold on, Mark.
It was just under
But I can in a moment.
Mark and Greg, it was just under 26,000. Do you want the exact dollar
That's what I
amount?
thought. Oh, that's fine.
It was 178 and 9 cents.
There you go. Well done, Kate. Way ahead of us. And I have no problem. Prior to this, I'll send you the other bids I get, and I'll send it to all you board members. I have no problem being completely transparent about what we're able to get for them. I'm not invested in. I mean, I enjoy WW. I like the guys. I like to support local, but at the same time, it's about being fiscally responsible. So I have no,
Yeah, Greg,
no
I
vested
think,
interest in it.
yeah, just have them available in case anybody asks, and I don't think you need to
Of
send them
course.
to us. Mark, do you want to make an amendment?
Yeah, I would amend that up to 27.5.
Would anybody like to second the amendment?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have an amendment and a second, so we got to vote on the amendment first. So the amendment is, Peter, are you all set?
Yes, that amount quoted was $21,000.
No, it's 27.5 is Mark's amendment.
Right, I just wanted, I
Oh,
just
the
thought I
amount
had
quoted
wrote the
was-
wrong thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get you that later, okay, Peter?
Okay, yep.
Can you just make sure he gets that, Bill? Okay, so the motion to amend is to cap the amount that Greg can spend at 27.5. Is there any discussion on the amendment? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision to amend the motion. It is a unanimous decision, so we're gonna vote to allow Greg to get 2 more prices and not to exceed 27.5 in buying the windows needed for the Wardsboro window project. Is there any discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Appears to be a unanimous decision. It is a unanimous decision, so Greg, good luck. Go get us some windows, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Have a good
Greg,
evening.
thanks for the PCB info.
You got it.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, solar update. Solar update, this was yours and mine. So, we had a meeting with Lori from the business office, people from the fire district, and our treasurer from the town. So, we are getting the credits we're supposed to get. So, everybody who signed up with the Dover Solar Project gets a credit for a certain amount of kilowatt hours. And that was established back when we first signed up, which was in 2017, I think, right, Bill? 2018, somewhere in there. So we assigned, what we did was we were told that the solar system should generate 10 units, let's just say. And then what we did was the school said we needed 2 units, the town needed 3 units, and the fire district needed 5 units. And that accounted for all 10 units. So what happens is the electric company generates an invoice that is not a bill, it's a credit, and it shows we generated our 2 units, or our 20% of the solar array generated $2,000. We only used $1,000 worth of electricity, so we carry forward a $1,000 credit. That credit is only good for a year, and after a year it goes away. So what's been happening is a solar array is not degrading as quick as they suggested it would. It's generating more power than we thought it was going to generate, and we're losing credits. The way the solar company makes money on the solar system is we pay them 85% of the credits that are generated. So if we don't use all the credits, then we're giving them money that we lose. Hang on a second. So remember that Chip Vickery was handling this for us because he was the finance guy at the time, and Chip had always talked about some chart that we need to pay attention to, and my understanding was the treasurer was paying attention to it. I don't know if they were. The fire district, I don't think, was paying attention to it, and the town wasn't paying attention to it. So after the meeting, I contacted the person who signed us up for the solar project back in the day, and I forget his name. I sent it to you, I think. So we can, every 6 months, change the allotment. So we can take those 10 units and we can say, hey, guess what? The school is really busy this year, and because there's no COVID and everybody's in class, we really could use 3 units. So we can reassign the allotment, but we have to take that other unit away from somebody. But we also now have a track record where we can see how many units were actually generated on the whole system. So what we've decided to do is the fire district is supposed to review. The fire district also has meters that aren't on the system because they came in afterwards or for whatever reason. The town has meters that aren't on the system. The school's fairly easy because we got one system. So what we're all supposed to do, and we're going to get back together in a couple weeks, is figure out how much we actually use, and we're going to shoot for only using about 90% of what we think we are going to use. And I think if we do that all across the board, if there's any extra usage that's out there, we're going to see if we can find another off-taker, or if people, the town, that the utilities that are using it, the fire district, the town, and the school, have other meters that aren't on the program. So our goal is to not ever give back a credit, or not ever lose the credit. But every 6 months we can adjust it, because obviously the problem is, like at the school, we generate more in the summer, but we have a lot less usage. But we can carry those credits for 6 months, so there is the ability to use them up later, but we just have to pay attention. Even if we reallot the credits or reallot the usage, the percentage, we cannot, we can't transfer the credits. So that's why they recommend every 6 months we look at it. So if we see that, it's June and the school has a huge credit and we're going into the slow time, we may want to drop the school every June and jump it up again in October, November. So it's going to take a little bit more work than just what we kind of were led to believe in the beginning. So we do have everybody on board. This John Priel and Ken Westbury? Ken Westbury? Westby. I was close. They seem to be on the ball with the numbers there, and Marco is working on our numbers. The other problem is we said, well, let's bring the Wardsboro building into it, but the Wardsboro building signed up for the Newbrook array. They have a whole different setup. It's a different company, different way it works. So they aren't eligible because they're already over there. Some of the people in the meeting suggest that maybe we set up electric charging stations and use some excess for that. But again, we don't know what the usages are, so everybody has to go determine their usage. So Marco is doing a spreadsheet for the school over the last 5 years. We know what the generation is for the last 5 years, and we're gonna just try to better assign the credits and make it work for everybody. So, and we do get our rent, which is only $10,000 or.
Yeah, it's $1,200 a month.
Yeah, so 20.
Because one of my points in reading through the backdated minutes, and because that's why I asked in retort to your email, was the people you were speaking to, are these the second or third owners? Because when this project started, whoever brought it to Dover said in 2 different meetings, 1, we don't sell it, and 2, you don't want to buy it.
But we had 3 different people coming to us. Are you sure it's the same one? Because you remember, Bill, we had
multiple pitches.
Yeah,
The land was,
and it was the land they wanted.
That wasn't clearly set out in what was going through, because I remember whether it was the same or a different pitch maker of solar saying, we're in this for the long haul, and another saying, well, we generate our money from the tax credits,
right?
But they also expire in 18 months, so it was very confusing to read it. And again, I think it was great to hear that the array itself and the power plant is not degrading as quickly as it could have,
or they thought
it might. But also frustrating to know that it was saleable, which, if it made sense doing the math, again, I don't know where those numbers are, but once it was sold from the original purveyor to this other company, was there an opportunity for Dover to buy that and now be wholly, not have to pay the solar manufacturer for the credits, that 85% of credit going back. So essentially, we're getting a 15% discount on the electric, is what it breaks out to be. Discount's great, nothing to shake a stick at.
That was the absolute pitch. You're
No,
say
that was
15%, and you're going to get $1,200 a month.
And everybody else was at 10%.
With it being sold and having a power plant that now, instead of looking at a 25-year life, is looking at a 30 or more year life because it's not degrading, would it have been in the school's better interest to actually step up and be the buyer from the first company and say, yeah, we want to own the physical plant. No more, more rent.
We did look into that. So when we originally did it, that was our intent, was after 10 years or 12 years, the panels were supposed to degrade so much they need to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the company was thinking of selling. So one of the companies we talked to, I believe we talked about like in year 15 buying them out.
It was very distant.
But it didn't make no financial sense, and it wasn't. That was again Chip and the select board chair at the time, Randy Turk. They were the ones who did the numbers and said it doesn't make any sense because the amount of money it's worth. The other thing is, once these panels degrade so much, and who knows what they're going to find that are hazardous in them, because remember, nuclear power was very clean and you didn't have to worry about the waste. We don't know what those panels are going to be, so that was the other thing that was brought up is, do we really want to own a whole bunch of, 5 acres of hazardous waste? So I don't know, and then we're also responsible for any maintenance. The other thing too is, one thing I forgot, and I don't know if I put in the email to the group, but I'll make sure we get that when we get the final numbers and can look at it as a group, is that the panels are actually warranted. So if they degrade so far in a 25-year lifespan, they get new panels. And so they actually kind of hope that they degrade to that lower number at some point. But that's pretty much the solar. So I felt really good that we actually kind of figured out the solar.
And I appreciate the new perspective and, thinking about what could have been done, what could we do in the future. I appreciate you doing that because that's helpful for us when projects move forward to think about lessons that we've learned. So.
Well, thank you.
But we also have another 25 acres we can put more of if it gets to be more feasible.
Yeah, seriously.
Right. And kind of with that being said, with us not owning these panels, once they degrade, we are not responsible for the cleanup, the removal. I mean, at the end of this, because it doesn't, is there a contract, say a rental contract says how long this company can keep their materials to generate electricity?
The lease renews every 10 years.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, there's a renewal in there. And I think that it's like any commercial lease, we cannot just withhold it because we feel like withholding it. And I think, I'm pretty sure it had it in there that if the contract is over and they choose not to renew, they got to clean up the site.
But
Yes.
That's a good double check.
But we're also, once we get this all done with the fire district and the town, we're gonna make a more formal agreement so that we don't go through this again.
Right.
Because, I can't remember what I could remember yesterday, so I wanna make sure that when the next 6 people are here in 5 years, that they'll know what's going on. So, and Bill did work with the attorney to look at the language for a better lease.
And we're ready. We got the model language. We're ready to
Right,
go.
we just-
Once
we
we
wanna-
know what to do.
And we need to see, there may be an extra 10% of electricity that we could give to somebody or sell to somebody or, let them
And then
be an
beyond
off taker so we don't
The
lose.
5-month review of what we're going to do with the 6th month.
So, and just so everybody knows, West River went through this with a solar array, and the treasurer of the West River District from Tarmanyville is...
Former treasurer.
Oh, former.
Rick Hagee.
Rick Hagee actually did write a letter to the state saying that, the only one that benefits from these lost credits is Green Mountain Power. They don't need to benefit anymore. Let's, do something about this. And I guess
to claw them back.
Yeah, it went nowhere.
Yeah, we tried.
But so, is everybody okay on that? Everybody good? We'll move on. Any questions? Friends of Education Award discussion. So we I don't see him on the screen. So we thought we're kind of still bouncing around a little bit on the education Friends of Education Award because it's now 2 districts, 2 groups, 2 towns. But I thought it may make a lot of sense if nobody has a problem, and I'll call the Wardsboro Select Board tomorrow, is if we could recognize Dr. Backus. He's been the moderator for River Valley since the beginning, and he was Wardsboro's moderator since sometime in the mid-90s. If nobody has a problem with that, and I think what we are going to do is put a placeholder in the future to have a more formal discussion and how we actually want to set it up, if that's good with everybody.
That sounds great.
You good with that?
Absolutely.
Mark, you okay with that?
I'd like to know what it is before we hand it out, but I understand not wanting to take that time now, so I'm okay.
You mean what we're going to give Dr. Backus?
No, I'd like to formalize what the award is before we hand it out.
Well, I was thinking we would just recognize, Dr. Backus for his years of service to both the Wardsboro School District and the River Valley School District, just like we did.
Independent of the Friends of whatever it is.
It's on behalf of the River Valley School District.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it kind of came up on me too quick. Graduation comes up too quick. I keep hoping that someday I get to graduate. Marc S. and Kate. Hiring update. Matt and Tammy. I only had 2 people that had interest and time to be if you need for hiring. So both Kate and Mark volunteered.
Excellent.
So whenever, I don't know if you have any updates,
we have
but
some.
Okay.
We do. Matt is looking for a board member for the kindergarten position. They're interviewing on Wednesday at 3:30 at the Dover School, and that one is in person. And then for the counselor positions, we've actually decided to team up together and do one committee. And we are hoping to do those interviews this Thursday from about 12:45 until 4 o'clock.
Okay. Mark, can you do those dates?
I can. I won't do in person though.
I can do Wednesday in person. Wednesday at 3:30 at Dover School.
Can we at least have a setup so Mark can be involved?
Matt, do you think you can set up a Zoom so that Mark could be involved on in the kindergarten one on Wednesday?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay,
You're welcome.
so just make sure that Mark and Kate get that in case she can't make it over there
Yep.
too.
Thank
Gives
you
her the
very
ability.
much.
And then,
There are more to follow.
okay.
I know.
So for right now, Mark and Kate, if you guys get notified and you can't make it, let me know. And then I'll see if Dwight or Laura or Chad or I can make it, okay?
Yep.
You guys all good? Everybody good? Move on. PLPs, personalized learning plans for upper elementary grades. I really messed this one up. I had the wrong name. But remember, we've been talking about this as part of, even before we were the River Valley District, you know, when we were still forming, that we wanted to set up a plan that each student, if we were going to start in the upper grades and work our way down, has a personalized learning plan, and I can't use individualized because it's the wrong term. So we've had this on the agenda. COVID has really set us back, and all the other distractions that get thrown at us and curveballs. So Matt and Tammy, I hadn't heard anything about it in a while. I know that you guys have been working on it. I thought you can give us a brief update and see if there's any questions.
Sure, it's definitely been on the back burner, you're right, because of due to COVID. I would say that we're definitely still would like to pursue the opportunity. I know that at our school here, I would love to possibly work with either Leland and Gray or some of the other middle schools to see how they're actually doing the process right now with students and trying to work off of a model that really works. And that's sort of where we're at. Matt, I'm sure you can pipe in if you'd like to add some more to that.
Sure, can you guys hear okay?
Yep.
Good. So we had started this in the fall. Our sixth grade teacher took the initiative to get this going this past fall, kind of on a pilot basis. So the sixth graders have been creating websites based loosely on the state's template with the goal of having a place to reflect on learning at the end of their IB units, a book they might have been reading or a concept they might have been working. Students upload material, upload evidence to their site. And I think the kicker is that the intention was to help the platform be used to help students drive their student-led conferences, which they just completed the week before last. I think for our first year, it went pretty well. The teacher reports that there are many areas after reflection that she would like to improve on. And that there's still more room to incorporate the state's template and concept into the model, but that it was a good first year, especially given all the variables, for us to kick it off. So that's where we are with it this year, and I'm happy the teacher was able to make that happen.
So, thank you, Matt and Tammy. Is there any questions, or we'll see more?
Yeah, I think it's great to hear that it did happen this year as a pilot at Dover, and I think it would be fantastic if our two teachers could work together to try to make more of a unified effort to, make the plans more solidified, I guess.
Yeah, it's something I really kind of believed in. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I think it's something really good for students so that they can, and I think the IB bill, a lot of that was based on IB also, was students kind of direct how they want to learn or how they.
Well, that's why it made the most sense to pilot it during the authorization study for the 5-year authorization in Dover, so that we could learn, what do kids feel comfortable with? As Tammy was saying, how can we align with 7 through 12 where they're required by the state? So I think they're on the path, and actually through COVID, I'm quite impressed they were able to do a year pilot. So I appreciate it being on the agenda to make sure that we continue moving forward.
And also, so now that Leland and Gray is, or West River 6 through 12, do the 6th graders have it at Leland and Gray?
No, they still start in 7th grade.
Really? Okay, interesting. Mark, you all set? Any questions?
No questions. I just want to thank Matt and Bill and our teacher for getting that up and running. It has been something that's been discussions for 4 or 5 years, something now. So it's nice to know that you got it going.
Good job. Pat yourself on the back, Matt. Tammy. Any board? You guys all set?
All good.
Okay. So the next item, method for expenditure suggestions. The last couple meetings we've had discussions. The clerk, the AP clerk, sends us a thick pile of email that has all the expenditures, and we've talked a little bit because we also get them I get them through for Wyndham Central as the chair of that board, And so I actually met with Lori a couple weeks ago and said there's got to be an easier way to review these for us so that they make more sense, you know, because a lot of things get so broken down. You know, we're reviewing 5-cent expenditures or 20-cent expenditures. So Lori was going to think about it, but Lori's on vacation. So this should have probably been moved to a placeholder. I forgot that Lori wasn't here for this meeting, but probably after graduation we'll have a chance to discuss that. So it's kind of, we still have to go do it the old way, guys, from now on. So, but Mark, it'll get better. Is there any other old business that anybody has? Anybody out there? Old business? Mark, you guys? Okay. Oh, is he good?
No, it's under new business.
Okay. So we're going to head to new business. I just want to, real quick, because I just see they joined us. They were going to try to join us in person, but we actually have two folks, Erin McHenry, I can't read her last name. Sorber. Sorry about that, Erin. And Daniela Hall.
Sutherland.
Wow, really small. I must be getting really old. So they're professors down south. I think Daniela's at Clemson and Erin is at West Virginia. And they're doing studies on rural education. So they, Daniela has some history with Dover School when Bill was our principal. And Laura worked very closely with her on some stuff, and they asked to come to a school board meeting for rural education. So I appreciate you guys being here and using us as some examples of good stuff, I hope. So
Thank you so much for letting us join you tonight. We appreciate it.
And if you guys have any questions, just raise your hand. There's some button you push and your hand goes up. It's all technological stuff, but you'll get it. Principals update, Tammy and Matt.
Sure, I can start, and Matt, you can fill in where I've missed. We are in full swing of end-of-year assessments. Students in grades 3 through 6th have started the SBAC, or the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium. And then students in other grades have begun assessments in alignment with the LCAS, which is the Local Common Assessment System. So that's really what's on the forefront right now, as well as planning for end-of-year festivities at both schools. Tomorrow, I know the school club is sponsoring a program with Dr. Quark, the science guy, who will be here, and we're going to be learning about the properties of physics. We also have a family involvement activity planned for next Thursday after school, where we can show off some of the artwork that the kids have done throughout the school year, in addition to our latest STEAM project, which is some fairy house building that's happening up in the forest. So that's exciting. It will be a great way to get the families in, and they'll actually be able to come into the school, which I know that some of the families of our littlest haven't really had the chance to do that, so that's really exciting. We have an end-of-year field trip planned here for Wardsboro on June 10th. We'll be going to the Merck Forest, which is in Rupert, Vermont. And our annual field day is planned for June 7th, with graduation scheduled for June 15th here at Wardsboro School at 6 p.m. and all of the board members are welcome to attend.
Can you give me that date again?
Sure, it's Tuesday, June 15th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At 6 p.m.?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did they do Q8 this year?
The kids did, yes.
How'd it go?
They returned, I guess this is their second week back. They loved it. It was great. Yeah, so
It's been 2 years, right?
Yeah, we're really happy that they were able to do that and have that opportunity.
Anybody questions for Tammy? You guys, anybody on TV land? Any questions? Cool, Matt, you want to talk about your building?
Sure do. Thank you, Tammy. So it's been a busy spring, as you know. We also have started the state assessments as well as the local assessments. We had a really fun teacher appreciation week the week before last. The school club brought in nice little gifts. We had a nice lunch, had some chair massages in and out. So it was a really nice gesture for the staff. I think they really appreciated it. Fourth grade took a cool field trip to the Vermont Mechanical Museum last year. Learn about Vermont's role in the Industrial Revolution and other awesomeness. Sixth grade is hosting a fun run on June 4th at 10 a.m. in the lovely village of West Dover. I'll send you guys information by email if you'd like to sponsor a sixth grader, or if you'd like to run, which would be awesome. And if you need us to arrange anybody to chase you so that you can go a little faster, we can do that. We got the interview teams set up and running, as Tammy mentioned. Been a little bit of a juggling act, but we've had great support from Bill and the central office staff in trying to kind of retool some positions to make them more attractive, make them more sensible for the district, working together with River Valleys, but also reaching out into West River and trying to make some efficiencies there, find some efficiencies there. The kids had a really fun school dance last Saturday, sponsored by the school club. We hosted student-led conferences. It also happened to be the week of Keewaydin, which was another great experience. And let's see, June 13th, which is a Monday, 6 o'clock, is the Dover School Moving On ceremony. Tuesday is our field day, that's the 14th. And then Wednesday, which is the last day for students, is a half-day early release. The Dover Community Picnic will be at school that day. We'll have a cookout. So that's open to the public and everybody's invited. There will be no school board business there, so I don't think you have to warn it, but if we need to, we're able to do that. And then finally, last week we received our final report from the IB folks, and I just wanted to share a quote with you. On the last page it says, "The program shows close alignment with the IB program standards and practices. The school's status as an IB World School is confirmed." And although this is a simple statement, I will say it represents hundreds of hours of people's work and effort to try to do something different and a little special, something that schools in our area don't do. So I just want to give a huge shout out to our staff, our outgoing IB coordinators, Sue Newman and Allison Sullivan, for doing a tremendous amount of work to bring a world accreditation to our community. So I'm super proud, in case that wasn't obvious, of the work that they've done. And I think you should be too. That's all I got for you.
So you got a question, Matt, and then Mark.
When was the Dover School graduation?
Dover School, it's called Sixth Grade Moving On, and it's Monday, June 13th, 6 p.m.
So yours is Tuesday, which is okay.
I think it's the day before Wardsboro's.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, same.
I'll fix it.
Thank you. You all set?
All set. Thank you.
Mark, you had your hand up, it looked like.
Yeah, no question, Matt. Congratulations. That is awesome. You, your teachers, Bill, everybody should be really proud. Great job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anybody else? Matt, how far is the fun run? Does it go from like the town office to the town church?
It's something called a 5K.
So what's that, like 5 coughs and you're out?
It's up to you. You can walk it though. It could be a fun walk.
I was going to challenge you. If you go, I'll go. But Tammy has to come and bring us water.
I'll be running.
You'll be running.
I bet that, yeah.
Okay. But can you just send to the board just the information about it, just so we know?
Will do.
Okay. Is there any questions from the public? Anybody on TV land? No? Everybody's happy? I spent the night at the museum. I can see that. That's
Oh, actually, Rick.
Go ahead, Mark.
Rick, one quick question.
Oh, cool.
COVID cases, how are we doing on numbers?
Bill, do you have an answer for that?
I don't.
Matt or Tammy, do you have a lot of people out? Anybody out? Not specifics, but
None that I'm aware of here.
Matt.
Yeah, we've had a couple of cases, students and staff, literally a couple in those categories. So nothing major at this point. So we're crossing our fingers.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All set, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Graduations you guys covered in your
Great.
principal's report.
Perfect.
Oh, board chair permission sign contract. Oh,
Why do you have a different version?
well, because Tammy printed it for me, so,
Okay.
and Bill, we didn't know if Bill was gonna make it in the storm.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a contract we need to see. Oh my gosh. We ain't gonna sign these. Does anybody know somebody named Matthew Martin and Tammy Bates? I don't know. Anyways, can I get permission to, sign the contract for Matt Martin from July 1st, 23 to June 30th, 24, and for Tammy Bates?
So moved.
Hang on, Bill, there's no numbers on Tammy's.
Is it on this back page?
I'll work for free this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Peter, did you get that in the minutes? Tammy's working for free. We'll give you a little bit extra health insurance.
She'll need it.
No, it's got a bunch of X's. Oh, it's here, but it's not here.
Well,
Why
it's
is
because
that?
she has the two positions.
Oh, 23, the annual salary for 23, 24 will be X.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
For 22, 23.
Right. Okay, so we have the contract for Tammy, contract for Matt. They're evergreen contracts, so we say we intend to roll them over every 2 years, or every year we roll them over for the next year.
And then Mark made a motion.
And Mark, you moved both contracts to be signed by the board chair?
I did.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, we're gonna give it to Kate.
Okay.
Okay,
Sharon Sherlock.
there you go. Okay, motion's made, second to approve contracts and have the board chair sign them. Is there any discussion? I like the idea of
Thank you
freedom.
both.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, it appears as though the ayes have it as a unanimous decision. The ayes have it. So we will sign them in a few minutes. Next thing, I do have executives, 2 executive session items. And I'm just gonna go again because we did have some people join late. I forget the gentleman's name, but Alan, yeah. Is there we're gonna give you guys one more chance as public for any public comment you would like to make, because we did have some people come in. I think we had some people come in here late. Any public comment, any questions, thoughts, guidance? You guys all set?
None for me, just an apology again if I offended anybody. It wasn't my intent.
Well, we appreciate that, but I think it was, everybody's pretty, I think it was a pretty good meeting, and I've seen a lot worse, sir.
All right, thanks.
If there's nothing from the public, I really appreciate you all coming. So the next meeting is in Dover?
Yep.
So come to Dover, visit us there if you want. We'd like to, it's nice to have people. You can always let Matt or Tammy know if you have any comments for any of the board members, and they'll get it to us. And we really appreciate everybody coming. I know she always comes in the back and always helps us out, so. But, yeah, but we appreciate it all. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So can I get a motion?
To make motions afterwards.
Are you expecting us to make a motion?
We don't have to make motions on anything.
No, for the,
Executive session?
Right. I don't.
No,
I'm expecting action, I'm sorry.
yes, are you expecting any action?
I'm not expecting, I didn't,
Yeah, we are gonna have one.
okay.
Okay.
Do you want me in or not?
Yeah, you and Tammy and Matt.
Okay.
So can I get a motion to move into executive session at 7:35?
Mark's got his hand up.
Thank you, Mark.
No motion. I had one item
I'm
on the
sorry.
new business.
I forgot, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I heard rumors about West River moving to electric buses.
Yes, Mark
and
had asked that.
I'm wondering if they are doing that, how that's going to affect our Wardsboro routes.
West River Education District was approached by a community group that is interested in exploring the idea of electric buses. That's where it stands.
Just exploration, sounds good.
Yep.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, sorry, Mark, and I know you said that, for some reason I forgot
Okay.
to write it down. I apologize. I'm gonna.
Now I'll make a motion to go into executive session for, I don't even know what we're going in for
Personnel.
personnel.
Do we have a second?
I second.
You were gonna, and she jumped right all over you again. Sorry,
Last time
buddy.
I was the motion and you were the voice.
So, motion's been made, second, and all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 Thank you. It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. We're done. Okay, so by unanimous consent, we came out of executive session at 7:55. Don't put the camera at me. Face it on the screen. I hate this. Is there, Mark, you got a motion?
Yep. I move that we have a $6,000 stipend adjustment for the IB coordinator to account for the work done for the reauthorization.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Chad, second it. So we have a motion and a second. Does somebody have it written down, or Mark, could you just type it and send it to Peter so we get it right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yep.
buddy. Okay, is there any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is unanimous. Okay, that passes. And we'll also accept with deep regrets the resignation of the...
First and second grade teacher Heidi Pancake.
Thank you. We wish her the best, but she's going back to her dream job, so we can't blame her. But she will be sorely missed by those families that have experienced her excellence in teaching. We all good,
Very
folks?
much so.
Very much so. Okay, Kate, it's her turn. Okay, so if there's nothing else, are you guys ready to adjourn?
Ready?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 7:56 p.m.
Wait, second.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're all ayes.
What grade is
Yay.
you? Give someone.